Yo, so you know the drill at this point. Let's see who we can piss off today by simply talking about the most well-respected tier list in the Wuthering Waves community, at least on the EN side of things, right? We're here again at pridewin.gg. I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment and description below in case you guys wanted to take a look at this. We're taking a look at the Wuthering Waves tier list for patch 1.1 part 2, and this is helped put together by content creators and players such as I Am Rivenous, Rexcellent, and Steparu, which you guys might recognize Rexcellent's name because he recently got into some drama that he never even was a part of but somehow got dragged into anyway, but that's not what we're here to talk about, right? We're here to take a look at Changli's placement and how she absolutely blew up this tier list. This is vastly different than it was the last time we were here taking a look at this tier list, dude. Like, look at all these changes. Jian got bumped down, right? We see Encore and Rover, Havoc Rover specifically, both of them falling down a full tier. Calcaro and Danjin falling down a full tier. We see Jianshin getting dropped down. That has probably nothing to do with Changli like that much, to be honest. That's just the change that they noticed over time. Baizha, like, bro, listen, if you have enough resonance chains for Baizha, she literally has a revive. She has a revive. She can revive a fallen character. That is nuts, okay? Like, yeah, sure, that's not going to be necessary a lot of the time, but, like, that's still something nice that especially a casual player might enjoy. Now, this is based on Resonance Chain 2. Now, I think that we need to see a change. Like, sure, it's still 1.1, but hopefully by 1.2, Pridewin will, like, kind of, like, see the writing on the wall and realize that most players have more than Resonance Chain 2 of a lot of the characters in this game. So once we see more Resonance Chain come out, I'm interested to see where some of these characters land. Like Baizha, I think needs to be bumped up to tier 0.5. Sure, Verena's still the best, but I do believe that Baizha deserves to be up here one more tier up. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Changli. Now Changli is probably the most fun character in this game right now. Now, sure, that's player to player, like, based, but I've had more fun with her than probably any character in this entire game. We're just scratching the surface of her capabilities, right? She's insanely powerful, insanely versatile. She's so much fun, and she deals so much damage despite being somewhat of a sub-DPS character. Now, people keep giving me flack, calling her a sub-DPS, but let's take a look at some facts, because it's hard to argue with facts, right? Here is Changli's skill tree. This is her outro skill right here. I know it's a little bit small, so I'll read it for you. The incoming Resonator after Changli has their fusion damage amplified by 20% and resonance liberation damage amplified by 25% for 10 seconds or until the Resonator is switched out. That is a buff. That is something that a support character or a sub-DPS character does. But she is a heavy damage dealer, right? She deals a ton of her own damage, but she does have a buff. This is literally the definition of a sub-DPS character. It just so happens, though, that she has so much damage output of her own that she's worthy of being able to be used as a main DPS character because we're still in the early stages of this game. But characters like Jinzhou, for example, are well defined as a DPS. They don't provide buffs of any kind. But, you know, Changli, sure, she's more of a damage dealer than Yinlin, right? Yinlin's never going to be over here in the DPS slot, right? Like, as a dedicated DPS. Changli can be used at the DPS, but she can be used as a supportive unit, more of a sub-DPS kind of unit. In fact, there's a lot of really awesome quick swap teams out there right now using Changli. So definitely, like, I actually agree with them putting her in the DPS slot over here because she's less of a buffer than a lot of these other characters that you see here. But, I mean, bro, this is a very, very substantial buff, especially if the other character that you're buffing is an actual fusion character that can benefit from everything that Changli does. Now, I just wanted to point that out because I felt like that was important, but I totally 100% agree with putting her here in the DPS slot because she should be somewhere in the middle. There's no middle tier for her right here, right? And I don't think they should put one. She's just a rare, sort of versatile unit dishing out a ton of damage that just so happens to buff. And she's blown up this tier list, right? Despite the fact that she's kinda like a pseudo sub DPS, she's still performing better than characters like Rover, like Havoc Rover. I don't know about Encore getting bumped down. I don't know if I actually agree with this, because personally, I think that Encore still deserves to be up here at tier 0.5. The reason why Encore might get bumped down on at least Pridewind's tier list is because she is somewhat harder to use. To truly capitalize on Encore's gameplay, you have to do a bunch of quick swaps, like a bunch of hot swaps, in order to make her a lot better. If you're not hot swapping with her, her damage falls off like a stone, right? But that's the same for Jinzhou. Like, Jinzhou doesn't use like hot swaps necessarily, but if you're not utilizing all of Jinzhi's kit properly and utilizing her rotations properly, her damage is not going to be as optimal as it would be, right? But because we all know about her potential, she's going to stay up here in tier 0. But I don't see why people aren't making that same, or they're not applying that same logic to Encore, right? Like, her potential is higher than tier 1, personally. That's just my opinion, but I do believe that a lot of other people share that opinion. In fact, the CN community also shares that same opinion for the most part. They have her up here at tier 0.5. I don't think they've updated their tier list right now, but this is like very heavily somewhat of a disputed topic in the scene right now. Havoc Rover, I can see her getting dropped down because we have Changli in the game now, right? And she has a very, very powerful ultimate as well. That was one of the main reasons why Rover was so good, is she had a really strong, very punchy ultimate. And we have Changli in the game now who has more versatility, that can do a lot more than Rover can, and she has a very punchy ultimate too. I totally understand why Havoc Rover's getting bumped down. I fully agree with this change. And I can understand why Calcaro and Denjin get dropped down. Like, people are saying that Calcaro is not as good anymore. And all I have to say is skill issue, right? He is not like they keep, look at this labeling. They calling him a hard character to use. I don't know about that. And if he's supposed to be hard to use, then why don't we have the hard, why is it not for Encore, right? Like, I don't know. I don't see why. I don't like to properly optimize Encore. You also want, it's also like not exactly easy to do that. So I don't know. I can see him being put here at tier 1.5. I'm okay with that, but that doesn't make him bad or anything like that. I think people are drinking the Kool-Aid with that one personally, right? Because we all know that these two characters, I think if we're being honest with ourselves, are actually very, very solid characters. Now, one thing to be aware of, Calcaro without Yinlin is like night and day, okay? To be fair, Calcaro without Yinlin is a way different thing, okay? And this tier list is probably not putting that in mind, right? They're not basing Calcaro's total performance off of literally one other supportive unit being next to him. And if you consider that, that's fair. That's fair. But Calcaro with Yinlin, bro pops the fuck off, okay? So that needs to be said. I think that's important to be said, right? Now, Jinshin getting bumped down, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with it because she does so much stuff. She's the most versatile character in the entire game. We all know that Changli is incredibly versatile. She has all these aerial combos, these ladder combos, these juggling combos. She has all this cool stuff. You don't have to do any of those juggling or cool combos for her to be strong either. She has a lot of versatility. She can be run as a main DPS. She can be run on a hot swap team. She can be run as a like a sub DPS. She has all this stuff going for her. But Jinshin has even more. Like, she could be run as basically any unit you want with given the right build. You can build her to basically do anything. But because she's doing so much, she doesn't necessarily excel at any one given thing. She's not like the best at any one thing that she does. And so, despite her versatility making her so strong, it also kind of like, I wouldn't say holds her back, but it does hold her back from being the best at any one given thing, to be fair. I don't like I don't know if like I'm okay with her at tier 1. Like, because here's the thing. I think that when you think of this role right here should be sustain. It shouldn't say support. It should say sustain. That's my personal opinion, right? Because supports like what like aren't excuse me, but aren't these like aren't all 4 of these characters right here? Aren't these all supportive roles right here? Aren't these all kind of like supports? I don't know. I think we should change the labeling, at least maybe here, to change it to sustain, personally. And if you consider this being a sustainability slot, I think Baizha should be up here at tier 0.5, and I'm okay with Jianshin being, like, at tier 1. All right? So don't think that this bump down is bad. Don't think that this drop in her tier is bad. She's still very, very strong, very, very solid unit. Jianshin, can't say enough good things about her. She's great. Okay? Those are the main changes to this tier list right now. Let's see here. Yeah, nothing else actually changed, okay? Now, when the Tower of Adversity does update to reflect something new, we might see some more changes, and if something significant like that happens again, we'll definitely do an updated video for that. So, go out there, try Changli out in the trial if you haven't already. We are just scratching the surface of what she's capable of doing. She's the most fun character in the game right now. It is not even close, and she can do so many different things, and like we're genuinely just getting started with her potential. She might even rise up on the tier list someday, like when we really realize her true potential, right? Her domain expansion is just starting, okay? So I can't wait to see what we cook up with this chick, all right? Anyways, if you guys like this, maybe leave a like and subscribe. Really does help the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.